Listening to MAV FM, made by Students for the World. This is Student Music Hour. I'm Mason, and I have Judo with me here today, and
Hi.
we're interviewing Ben. So why don't you tell us about that song we were just listening to?
Yeah, so that was Ascendant Movement 1. If you want to hear the full movement, you can check me out, Ben Jasinski on YouTube. That's BenJasinski. If you want to find any of my social media, it's Ben Jazz Sax on Instagram and TikTok. That's BenJazzSax on
kind of
Instagram and TikTok.
Sorry. What kind of stuff do you have out there?
Right now it's honestly a lot of just me being weird in a studio, as far as social media. And because that's really where I spend most of my life. As far as music, I had a kind of a jazz fusion album out for a while. I took it down to remaster it, but a lot of the stuff you're hearing today, I'm currently working on getting out there, getting it produced. But being a student, it's kind of hard to get some of that done. But
Yeah.
keep an eye out, Ben Jasinski on Spotify and anywhere else you listen to music. I'll be dropping a lot of this really soon.
Nice. And you do a lot of producing stuff, like helping record tracks for other artists and mixing and stuff?
Yeah, I do. I've been doing it. I've been working with sound equipment for a while, so I like to help out a lot of students that aren't necessarily that far. We're all at kind of different points in, our learning stages, so I like to help them out. I try not to just do it for them, to kind of show them how to do it, so that I'm like, okay, now you can do it yourself, so that they can kind of keep growing as a musician or as whatever they want to do.
Nice. So we heard a little bit about how you got started with music, but I don't know if the listeners know this. You're in the studio all the time. You're a studio assistant here on campus. How'd you get started doing recording? Did it just kind of flow from music, or?
Yeah, it kind of did. I got my start in music technology in high school as a sound tech. I got hired as lead sound tech over at Forest Lake Senior High. I started doing sound for musicals. I kind of got thrown in the deep end. The guy that was supposed to train me for Tech Week for our first musical took a week-long vacation, so I kind of had to teach myself. We were using a Yamaha QL5 at the time, so kind of had to teach myself, but I had a lot of fun doing that. I did that for 2 years, and then kind of just taught myself. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. Anyone that wants to learn anything about music technology, music production, if you don't want to go to college,
YouTube's the way to go.
YouTube's the way to go. But go to college. You need the connections. There is stuff you can only learn at college.
Yeah, one of the things I've started to realize a lot since coming here is that you can learn all you want about technical skill and music theory and writing and playing instruments, but the real important thing is the networking, knowing people and being able to coordinate and work with other people and really launch yourself out into the world that way.
Yeah, I totally agree. I remember taking, in high school, we would have, guest speakers come in for music and whatnot. Being
Right.
hey, for, career day. And that's always what they said. Anyone would ask, what's the most important thing? Networking. Back to the backstory. I did a lot of live sound. I started in live sound. And then after that, learned a lot online. My parents got me the Focusrite solo pack, just to start out. Started learning a lot online, and then I came to MNSU because my major got canceled when I enrolled to St. Mary's University. So I was still enrolled. I was still accepted here, so I came here. And then I got a tour with the director of music at that time, Dr. Olson. I think I don't know, somehow impressed him because I knew what I was talking about when he showed me the studios. I don't really know. And he was like, well, I have a studio assistant spot open if you want it. And then I think the reason I got it was I never let him forget that I wanted it. I just kept pestering him.
That's how you do it?
Every class, because I had 2 classes with him. Every class, hey, Dr. Olson, when can I have it? Not give it to me, but when can I have it?
Right.
And so I started my first semester freshman, got right into the studios, and I just experimented, which is how I recommend anybody does it. Get in there and experiment. You need to fail. You learn by failing sometimes. don't fail and break it. Yeah, don't fail too hard.
Yeah.
Don't break anything.
Don't unplug everything.
Oh God, don't. Because that means I gotta fix it. But no, you gotta fail sometimes, and that's what I did. I failed a lot.
Yeah.
So
What's the best way to learn?
it is truly the best way to learn. So, and then I just started networking, taking a lot of really good classes. Me and Judah actually were in a class together about a year ago now called Activity in Music Industry. We were in a group called 4x4. I remember helping produce a lot of that. I mastered all 3 songs. Judy, you mixed Sam's, right?
Yeah.
That was a pretty good mix, by the way.
The bass was a little too much. Like when I listened
And so was the percussion, but luckily it's something we all learned from. It was a fun class though.
Yeah.
You can always look back on your old mixes and say, "Oh, I should have done that."
Yeah, I did too much in like one pair of headphones, and the bass is really bad on them. And it's just like when I heard it, like with the speakers in 109 or whatever, I was like, "Oh, the bass is way too much."
I think that's always a good skill to have, is being able to look back on things you've done in the past and be like, I could have done that better. Having that skill, being able to look back on something and be like, okay, I could have done that better. And not being like, I just did the best I can, oh well. Or thinking it's always right.
Right.
Being able to critically look back on things you're doing, or even things you're doing right now, and say, I could do this better. And always knowing you can improve is a really critical skill for actual growth in any kind of career.
Yeah. Now I do double checks whenever I do it. So I play it on my phone, and I play it in like the really nice speakers, and I play it in like a really bad pair of headphones. Shout out Sam if you're listening. Sorry about that. It's fine. The rest of the mix is fine. But like when I listened to it a second time, I was like, oh.
Yeah, if you want to find that SoundCloud, it's 4x4. It's the actual Roman numerals, so IV by IV. That was fun. Jules did a song. I mixed and mastered that. No, she mixed it. I mastered that one. And then Janessa, I mixed and mastered that one too. That was fun.
Yeah.
We also did a music video for Sam's that was interesting.
Would that be the Sam that we had on the podcast last week?
No, different Sam.
Different Sam. Cool dude. Good singer.
Yeah, very good.
That was a good song you wrote. I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a similar class now that all 3 of us are in.
Oh yeah, we should shout out Can Jam.
Actually, so I looked it up. This episode is going to be aired on the 24th, which is 2 days after Can Jam. So if you're there,
thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming.
We all did great.
I hope it goes better than last year's Can Jam. That was a disaster. Yeah. I think it's fun taking classes with a lot of other people and not just sitting in a desk listening to a professor talk.
Oh, yeah.
I love the classes where it's like, okay, we have an hour. Let's do some stuff.
Or an hour and 40 minutes, which is
Dude,
great.
having an hour 40 for amp ensemble is so fun. I've been wanting to talk to a lot of those people because I'm starting kind of a home studio, kind of my own mixing and mastering thing. Wanting to get some of these people in because they are so talented. We have so many talented people here.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people underestimate themselves too. Like, hey,
I definitely do.
I think a lot of it's a confidence thing. Like these people, they could really go far, and I think a lot of them have a lot of skill. They have a really good chance of really doing something with themselves. So I think I'm really lucky to be here at MNSU.
Yeah.
Like at first when I came here, it was my second option, and I thought, I'm like, dang, I'm not going to be doing as well. And I'm glad that I came here instead of went to St. Mary's because of the connections I've made and just the people I've met. I wouldn't be doing something like this.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely have some of those other students in the amp ensemble and some other classes on the show later. So definitely.
Tune in for those. Those are going to be really fun.
Yeah, those are amazing people. Definitely.
Why don't you tell us a bit about your goals? Where do you want to be after MSU? You're almost done, right? You got a year left after this. So.
I got it. Well, hopefully, if I play my cards right. Well, I don't really know. There's so much that I enjoy doing. I've kind of done it all in the past 5 years. Live sound, performing, composing, mixing, mastering, recording, this, that, whatever.
You kind of have to do more than one thing in this industry.
Yeah, you kind of, well, what I've noticed, so shout out, really quick side note, shout out my mentor, Billy McLaughlin. Amazing guitarist. He's been my mentor since I was in high school. I've been working for him ever since. Check him out, Billy McLaughlin, Grammy-winning guitarist from Minnesota. The guys I've met because of him, I've noticed they'll say, yeah, I did 5 years over at this studio. Then I decided to kind of go do my own thing over here for like 10. And now I just kind of chill over here and do this. And I've noticed like people they move around. They don't sit in one spot and do the same job for 30 years. And I kind of like that because I think you would get sick of doing the same thing for that long, don't you think?
I would.
I think I like that. So ideally for me, my goal, either trying to be kind of a remote mixing or mastering engineer, because I will say I'm a sucker for gear. I love gear and having a bunch of that stuff because I like the tactile feel of it. Cold Caparoon and Andrew Masters are big inspirations for me. So kind of doing something like that, or being like a composer for hire for like TV shows, film, things like that. A really good example of that would be Tommy Prophet. Amazing guy. Really cool studio, by the way. Look up Andrew Masters' home studio tour of Tommy Prophet. Really cool. So hoping to do maybe something like that. But I like the idea of having it at home because then it's like I've always been able to make my best stuff at home. That's why I usually do most of my mix and mastering at my place instead of the studios here.
That's where you're most comfortable.
Yeah, it's where you're most comfortable. You know, you're not like, you don't feel like, okay, I have a limited amount of time. You're at home, you have all the time you need. You can be comfortable, you can relax. But it's like, okay, if you don't have what you need at home, use the resources that are available to you, you know?
Yeah. Well, why don't you play us? Do you have another track?
Yeah, I got a quick one here. It's called, working title is DM3. It's kind
Digital Music 3.
So this started out as this was my final project for Digital Music 1, but it was my third project. So it's Digital Music and then 3 for my third project in the class. And I just kept the file name. So this is kind of like a poppy symphonic song that I really enjoy. Shout out Caden. How do you say his name? Reidenbacher? He's got a confused.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, that was pretty close. He's helping me kind of add some guitar and bass to this. But another demo for you here.
Not a metal song, is it?
No, it just has it will have good guitar in it. Again, nice. Shout out, keep an eye out for Ben Jasinski on Spotify if you're looking for it soon.
Nice. Welcome to MAV FM, made by students for the world. This is Student Music Hour. It's about our last 10 minutes of the show. You just heard a piece by Ben Jasinski. I'm here with Mason. I'm Judah. You want to tell us what that track was and what it's about?
Yeah, so working title for that one's DM3. It literally just started as a final project for my recording class that I had about a year ago, and then I don't know, I really liked it, so I put a lot more effort into it. And I actually wrote that. I wrote about half of that the night before Thanksgiving, actually. I was sitting in my bed, and I had an idea, so I went with it. I don't know, I like writing. I kind of want to start writing more symphonic stuff that people our age will enjoy, because I will say, symphonic music, it's not the most popular thing. I'm okay with that. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I want symphonic music that it's like easier to listen to.
Yeah.
You know, more poppy, more energetic. I'm listening to Beethoven on the daily, but that's me. I like the general population, most people don't. So I want stuff that they can listen to. I think like the poppy stuff using orchestra, but more elements of pop, rock, things like that.
On the theory aspect of it.
And kind of using that, so it's like, oh, this is really cool. You kind of getting a blend of a lot of different inspirations. So I'm kind of working on getting a lot of that kind of stuff put together, adding the orchestra to mainstream music.
Nice. That's great. I mean, there's a lot of use of like strings and stuff, and like especially the Beatles used it a lot. And there's definitely artists nowadays that use it, but there's definitely missing some of that like symphonic, classical kind of inspiration there sometimes. So it's good to hear it. It's a kind of a breath of fresh air from a lot of the stuff you hear nowadays.
Yeah. Well, and no shade to that. There are some great mainstream stuff that I still listen to a bunch. But like I'm kind of going like Hans Zimmer, big inspiration for me. On how to blend different sounds.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Theory, John Williams, a big one. Beethoven. My grandpa listened to a lot of Beethoven, so that's why I got into him. So those are some of my inspirations. Samuel Kim as well.
Maybe some Michael Giacchino.
Oh man, so good. He did great with the Batman soundtrack. I really like that one.
The Incredibles soundtrack is still one of my favorites.
I think he also, no, that wasn't him. What else did he? He also did Up, I think.
Did he?
I think so. I know he did like a Disney picture.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's right in the feels there.
Yeah. It's I think a testament to skill where you can write, Batman and Up.
Yeah.
Having that kind of range of being able to do two different things, that's skill. If you like, yes, it's good to be able, like, if you're really good at this one thing, that's cool. But also being able to kind of, okay, I can kind of get out of a comfort zone, or I'm able to do different things that people need me to do. That's another testament to skill.
And do it really effectively, too.
And be that well known for it. I mean, the Up theme, anyone hears it. Yeah.
And it goes back to that emotion piece in music where it's like, it's really about bringing the emotion out. And I think anyone who's seen Up and listens to that track, it can't not.
It pulls at your heartstrings.
Right.
But then, like, the Batman soundtrack, it captures the essence of Batman, kind of the fear, the power, like it's so good. But Hans Zimmer also best Batman soundtrack.
Yeah, I can hear that in like your ideas about instrumentation, like with Zimmer and all that stuff. Is like film scoring and all that kind of stuff something that you like want to go into as a career?
Yes, I love it. I'll practice. One thing I do every now and then is I will screen record like a scene. Maybe it's a fight scene from like a Star Wars movie, or it's like a monologue scene from some drama or something. And I'll score it. I'll practice. Okay, analyzing the movie. What does this need? Listening to what else is happening in the movie, and then scoring it.
Mm-hmm.
It's super fun. I recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now for a class that I'm in.
That sounds super cool.
Yeah.
The hard part though is getting into it. Actually getting placement for it. That's hard.
Yeah.
I might be talking to some of the film people on campus being like, hey, instead of just going out and buying stuff, I'll write you originals.
Yeah, and like indie movies as well as just indie like content in general is kind of on the rise, in media stuff.
And I think the reason a lot of indie stuff is on the rise is because it's not, and this is very opinionated, is the reason I think it's on the rise is it's not plagued by the fact that they're not just trying to do it for money.
Right. A lot of the big industries in movies and music and video games and anything else like that, especially if they're like, they've got quotas and stuff, and it's less about the passion of making something they want to make and tell a story they want to tell. It's about making that money. And it's kind of a shame because they have that money to use towards making stories. But, it's just kind of the way things are going.
Yeah.
And,
they have a lot more people they need to please.
right.
And that's a big thing now because if people aren't pleased, they won't buy the stuff. But with indie people, it's like, we just want to make what we want to make. We don't care.
Right.
Like most of these people already have full-time jobs.
Well, and it's risky to put out a new story that no one's heard before out there. And that's why I think some of the larger companies might be hesitant towards writing completely new things. But, you have to take that leap because that's what really sells and really connects with people.
Yeah. Well, and especially it's like big companies, they also have to worry about things like sequels.
Right.
Like, okay, we did amazing with the last thing that we just did. We got to one-up it somehow. And people are always expecting better.
Mm-hmm.
Not just, let's keep it here. We're doing great here. Let's just stay here. And sometimes that's hard when you do so well. Great example of this, the Toy Story series.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best examples of they actually did good sequels. And it's another example of, okay, maybe we should have stopped. Toy Story 4.
I don't think I ever saw it.
Toy Story 3 was great.
Toy Story 3 was amazing.
I don't remember anything from Toy Story 4.
Neither do I. I just know that the graphics are good.
Anything past Toy Story 3, I'm just like, that's done. That's done for me.
That's an I think that's a great example of like, okay, maybe that's when we should have stopped.
Right.
Knowing when to stop sometimes. And okay, let's focus our efforts over here.
Speaking of knowing when to stop.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
What
here.
a segue.
I know. I was just waiting there. I was like, the bat's in my hand, just ready to swing.
Set
All right.
up.
So you've been listening to Student Music Hour with Ben Jasinski. You can find him on Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. You've been listening to Judah and Mason.
And that's where the recording ends. We must have hit stop a little early on that one, but that was Student Music Hour. Thanks for tuning in. And next week, actually, we have Sylvia May as our guest. A little spoiler alert there. You might have seen her play at Can Jam or with the Women in Music Industry show that happened in the CSU a couple weeks ago. So definitely tune in for that one. It's going to be a good little conversation with Sylvia there. See you next time.